would think they've done nothing wrong. Why are they being treated this way? Stop constantly wondering if you're causing trouble. If you keep thinking like that, how can you progress on your cultivation path? You need firm determination. If you're not wrong, then you're not wrong. Why should you be treated unfairly? Anna Reed nodded but still said gloomily, but even if I don't think that way, I still can't progress far on my cultivation path. I already feel like I've hit a bottleneck. Daniel Walker was about to continue advising her when he caught sight of Samantha Reed approaching with an intense aura. He quickly revealed the necklace on his neck, and the seven-colored light immediately made Samantha Reed instinctively halt and shield her eyes, losing all her momentum. Daniel Walker nodded in satisfaction. The item on his neck still worked. The group behind Samantha Reed was momentarily blinded by the seven-colored light. It took them a while to adapt, and they looked toward this side. But all of them squinted, tilted their heads, unable to fully open their eyes. If it weren't for Daniel Walker's head shielding her, Anna Reed would have had to close her eyes too. Anna Reed, are you letting your spirit beast stir up some kind of mischief again? Samantha Reed said angrily. I didn't. Anna Reed looked at Samantha Reed, pressing her lips together. Deep inside, she couldn't help but feel a bit resentful. She truly hadn't done anything wrong. Did she have to endure all this just because of her father's mistakes? Chapter 46, Speechless and Stifled. Seeing her immediately jumping to conclusions, he retorted right away, You're saying it's not true? We can barely keep our eyes open here. Could it not be because my Anna is so stunning that it's blinding you all? Daniel Walker feigned confusion as he asked. Hearing this, Samantha Reed flared up. What did you just say? She's so beautiful that we can't keep our eyes open. Are you joking? Can't you see that my Anna is radiating a seven-colored glow? That's the kind of brilliance only a true beauty possesses. Anna Reed couldn't help but laugh. She reached out and lightly pinched Daniel Walker's ear. Ouch, Anna, stop messing around. Daniel Walker shuddered, now genuinely afraid of anyone touching his ears. I'm the real beauty. Samantha Reed, hearing Anna laughing, immediately felt annoyed and declared. She had heard before that if Anna Reed dressed up a little more, she could probably be the most beautiful girl of her age, possibly even a great beauty in the future. She wasn't convinced. She was the most beautiful one. If you're the beauty, then where's your glow? Why aren't you dazzling enough to make others unable to open their eyes? You? Samantha Reed glared at him angrily, ignoring the light that was making it hard to see earlier. This time, she saw clearly. The source of the light was the necklace around Daniel Walker's neck. All right, so it's your necklace causing this. What glow of a beauty. Fake. Exposed, Daniel Walker's face didn't flush. He calmly said, Well, now I have the glow. Foolish mortals, kneel before me. TCH. Kneel to someone who doesn't even know what species they are? You don't even know my species. No wonder you're so foolish. You? A male student standing behind Samantha Reed pulled her hand. It was the sly-looking boy with shifty eyes from earlier. Samantha, we still have important matters to attend to. Only then did Samantha Reed regain her composure. She had actually been arguing with a dying beast. How humiliating. Anna Reed, you. And your spirit beast. Follow us. Her arrogant demeanor returned. TSK, TSK. Daniel Walker glanced at the male student behind her. This guy clearly wasn't someone decent just from his appearance. Where are we supposed to go? Anna Reed instinctively clutched Daniel Walker tightly. Of course, to face punishment. Samantha Reed smirked at them with satisfaction. You all have no idea. In a bit, your spirit beast will suffer the punishment of 1,000 laws. I heard you share a blood contract? Perfect. Anna Reed, a bastard like you, a filthy stray, should never have been born. You and your spirit beast will vanish together. Such cruel words coming from a girl not even 20 years old were shocking, but to Samantha Reed, the concepts of good and evil were blurry at best. She was merely parroting what she had heard from others. Anna Reed's face paled slightly, though a trace of anger flickered in her expression. Stray bastard. Do you even understand what those words mean? Daniel Walker snapped angrily. Of course I do. Her father hooked up with some wild woman and gave birth to her. She's a bastard. Then, if your father and mother are from different backgrounds, doesn't that make you a mixed breed as well? Daniel Walker shot back, his eyes wide with fury. You? That's not true. Samantha Reed was momentarily stunned by his logic. Her instincts told her something was off with his reasoning, but she couldn't pinpoint it. Why isn't it true? Or are you trying to argue that men and women are naturally opposites, yin and yang, and thus their union is natural and can't be called a mix? Exactly. That's it. Samantha Reed immediately fell into the trap. If that's the case, then how are you any different from Anna? You were born of your parents, and she was born of hers. Both sets of parents came together naturally to create you two. What gives you the right to call Anna a bastard? Samantha Reed was left speechless. The surrounding children exchanged glances with one another. You're all human. There's inherently no difference between you. Insisting on calling someone a bastard, who knows which bastard taught you that? Daniel Walker retorted mercilessly. Samantha Reed's face turned pale. She wanted to argue back, but couldn't come up with anything. In the end, she could only weakly say, Anyway, you're all about to die. Who dies remains to be seen. Daniel Walker lazily swung the chain around his neck, and the refracted seven-colored light caused the surrounding crowd to cry out in surprise. They continued to follow Samantha Reed to the training grounds of the Reed family. Perhaps because prior notice had been given, many other disciples of the Reed family were already gathering in the area. The third elder, fourth elder, and seventh elder, who were in charge of the execution, arrived after the disciples had assembled. Bring Anna Reed's spirit beast forward. Anna Reed looked at Daniel Walker with a hint of worry in her heart. Don't worry, trust me. Have you forgotten my talent? Daniel Walker gently patted her, and Anna Reed tried to suppress her unease, reluctantly letting go. A stranger led Daniel Walker to the central pillar in the courtyard. The pillar was surrounded by a restrictive barrier, making escape impossible. Of course, if Daniel Walker truly wanted to flee, he could simply drain all the spiritual energy from the barrier. However, doing so would expose his disguise as the venomous fire python, something he was unwilling to risk. Anna Reed stood in the middle of the courtyard as well, closely monitored by three individuals. Below the stage, countless disciples of the Reed family pointed and whispered amongst themselves. Silence, everyone! A middle-aged man shouted loudly. Shortly after, the third elder stepped forward, clearing his throat and adopting an air of authority as he clasped his hands behind his back. I assume most of you are unaware of why you've been summoned here. As soon as he began speaking, he launched into a lengthy monologue that lasted half an hour. Daniel Walker, growing increasingly exasperated, leaned against the pillar and said, Old man, are you ever going to start? I'm starving. I haven't even had lunch yet. The third elder, who had been passionately delivering his speech, was suddenly interrupted by the youthful voice. He turned angrily toward the source, only to see it was Daniel Walker. His fury intensified. What an insolent contracted beast, he thought. On the verge of death, and still so brazen. Humph! After thorough deliberation, we elders have decided to punish Little Dumpling with the 10,000 strikes punishment. The crowd immediately erupted into chaos. The 10,000 strikes punishment? Doesn't that mean everyone must attack? Yes, I think so. My goodness, that's too cruel. Isn't it still just a young beast? But didn't it openly defy the young clan leader? The young clan leader is at the 5th or 6th level of cultivation, isn't he? No, the critical issue is that Anna Reed and her contracted beast share a blood pact. If her contracted beast dies, she won't survive either, so what? They incited the beast to break the contract. That's a grave offense. Isn't that punishment enough? Everyone was chattering incessantly, and the third elder did not rush to intervene. Instead, he waited for everyone to discuss for a while before raising his hand to signal for silence. Now, I declare the execution to begin. Spirit Beast Hall will proceed first. The Hall Master of Spirit Beast Hall stepped forward, responded with a firm yes, and then began organizing the disciples to take turns stepping onto the stage. The first to step onto the stage was a young man who appeared somewhat thin. He hesitated, unsure of how much strength he should use to attack. Chapter 47. I want to sleep for a while. Use all your strength. Unleash your maximum attack power, the third elder on the platform said. The young man could only give Daniel Walker an apologetic look before starting to perform the magic seal. Don't hold back. Daniel Walker, sitting on the pillar, appeared calm as if he wasn't the one being punished. Go ahead and attack. I won't blame you. The young man trembled, his magic seal nearly failing to form. Now, he felt even more reluctant to strike. A third-level ice spell hit Daniel Walker, but he barely felt anything, just a slight shiver. Next, the Spirit Beast Hall Master standing nearby shouted. The next person to step up was a little girl. Don't be afraid, little one. Come here, use your most powerful spell to attack me. I won't blame you, Daniel Walker reassured. The little girl, feeling so apologetic, almost failed to gather her magic. Daniel Walker essentially repeated the same line to everyone who came forward. By the end, his mouth was dry, and he started feeling sleepy. Hey, everyone, stop coming up one by one like this. It's already noon, and I'm really hungry. Daniel Walker turned to the people on the platform. How about each faction sends someone all at once? Of course, if you want to continue one by one, I have no objections. Just a suggestion, he added, lying face down on the pillar and closing his eyes to sleep. Everyone immediately felt a bit dumbfounded. How could this beast not worry at all? And now, he's even sleeping. This behavior is truly... Elder Tam's face twitched as he gritted his teeth and said, Then let 10 people attack in one group. On the martial arts field of the Reed family, flashes of magical light flickered nonstop all day. Yet, Daniel Walker lay motionless. If it weren't for Anna Reed standing beside him, worried but unharmed, everyone would have thought Daniel Walker was dead. The evening sun had already disappeared below the horizon. The punishment of 10,000 spells sounded simple in words, but the requirement for everyone to attack was truly overwhelming. Thus far, only the members of the Spirit Beast Hall, Literary Arts Hall, and Mission Hall, along with their respective leaders, had completed their turns. But with the Martial Arts Hall having the largest number of members, only about a third of them were done. Elder Tam also found the pace too slow. The other halls are finished already. Martial Arts Hall members, attack together now, he commanded. Anna Reed was alarmed and quickly protested. Elder Tam, you know how dangerous combined attacks can be. Are you really trying to take our lives? Even though she knew Daniel Walker could absorb magical energy, Anna couldn't help but worry whether such a massive combined assault might push his abilities to their limit. She couldn't allow Daniel Walker to get hurt. Humph. When I say attack, you attack. Elder Tam's eyes gleamed with malicious satisfaction. It seemed this time, the spirit beast named Panda was doomed. Once the Grand Elder emerged from seclusion, he could claim credit for this. The attacks instantly became more intense and dazzling. The amplified power of the strikes finally stirred Daniel Walker awake. He sat up amidst the radiant display of lights, looking around in confusion before letting out a yawn. "Wow, it's night already! Why are there still so many people here?" he muttered, still feeling no signs of a breakthrough. How useless. Coincidentally, the current wave of attacks had just ended, and the disciples stepped back to switch out. Daniel's casual words and actions drifted clearly into Elder Tam's ears. Elder Tam stared at Daniel Walker in disbelief. How could this guy remain completely unscathed? Were those attacks nothing more than tickles to him? Tickles would at least evoke some reaction, but Daniel seemed utterly unaffected. "Continue." Elder Tam waved his hand, his eyes fixed intently on Daniel Walker. This spirit beast must be hiding some secret. Otherwise, how could it withstand such a barrage? But upon closer inspection, there didn't seem to be anything unusual about him, except for the somewhat flashy energy storage item hanging around his neck. Wait, was that a 7-colored stone? Elder Tam's eyes instantly burned with greed. So many 7-colored stones. If he could use them to craft weapons for himself or leave them for the younger generation, it would be incredible. However, he said nothing for now. He waited until Martial Arts Hall had finished their attacks before stepping forward and declaring, "Next, it's our turn as elders to strike." Daniel Walker, now fiddling with his toes, didn't even bother to look up as he lazily replied, "Well, hurry up then. I'm waiting for dinner. 1 whole day without a meal." "Humph," Third Elder snorted. He always found this spirit beast incredibly annoying. Standing before Daniel Walker, he began forming hand seals. After all, as an 8th rank elder, the moment he moved, the surrounding spiritual energy immediately shifted dramatically. Everyone looked at the Third Elder in awe. His robes billowed, and his white hair danced like a deity descending to earth, filling their hearts with admiration and reverence. Daniel Walker glanced at him, rolling his eyes speechlessly. Was all this theatrics really necessary? "You're old, no pretty maiden is going to be impressed, wake up." The Third Elder mistakenly thought everyone, including Daniel Walker, was captivated by his movements, feeling immensely smug. On the platform, the 7th Elder frowned as he observed the hand seals. He felt the Third Elder was going too far. Was it really necessary to be so ruthless against a mere child? "7th Elder, what move are you planning to use later?" the 4th Elder asked with a sly grin. "Just something simple. It's only a kid," the 7th Elder replied indifferently. "Ha, but that 7-colored stone necklace around his neck isn't something a kid should possess. They probably have a mind. Even if they don't, they must know where to get it or have some information about it." Unlike the Third Elder's straightforward greed for Daniel Walker's necklace, the 7th Elder's ambition was greater. He wanted more than just one 7-colored stone. A flash of cold mockery appeared in the 7th Elder's eyes as he said, "I'm afraid it'll end up being futile. A kid like him might not even know where that necklace came from." The 4th Elder chuckled but said nothing, though his eyes revealed a determined desire to obtain it. The Third Elder's attack was overwhelmingly grand, at least on the surface. A massive mountain formed in the sky and came crashing down toward Daniel Walker. Compared to it, Daniel Walker seemed as insignificant as an ant. Daniel Walker looked up at the enormous mountain condensed entirely from earth elements. His mouth opened slightly, and a glint of hunger flashed in his eyes. This time, could he finally break through? The Third Elder smugly observed the astonished expressions of the crowd. When he looked at Daniel Walker, however, he noticed a suspicious liquid dripping from the corner of his mouth. He froze for a moment before thinking, "Ah, he must be so scared he's drooling." He controlled the massive mountain to descend slowly toward Daniel Walker, creating an oppressive atmosphere as though death itself was inching closer. He wanted Daniel Walker to taste the fear. The surrounding spectators held their breath as they watched the mountain gradually lower. It felt as though they themselves were trapped beneath it, struggling to breathe. The third elder was very pleased with this reaction, and turned to gauge Daniel Walker's expression. But all he saw was Daniel Walker glancing at him with an impatient look. Impatient? Elder Tam immediately felt humiliated. He no longer waited. As everyone around held their breath, he brought the massive mountain crashing down. Boom! The sound of impact instantly echoed everywhere, shaking the ground violently. Chapter 48. It's over. Everyone watched the large mountain continuously flashing with spiritual energy radiance, and they all couldn't help but feel in their hearts that the spirit beast this time was likely in grave danger. If it didn't die, it would at least be severely injured. Anna Reed also looked on nervously. Since everyone's attention was focused on the mountain, no one noticed her, and thus no one could guess that Daniel Walker was actually unharmed. At that moment, he was expanding his abdomen to absorb the spiritual energy. Centered on his body, a vacuum-like space began to appear and continuously spread outward. From the outside, all of this happened in complete silence. Apart from the constant flashing of spiritual energy, there was nothing else unusual. The third elder stood nearby with his hands clasped behind his back, exuding an aura of profound wisdom. He waited quietly, deciding that he would make the mountain disappear in a moment to see what had become of the spirit beast. 2 minutes passed. The third elder cleared his throat softly and said, "It seems that spirit beast is badly injured. I shall now remove this." Before he could finish his sentence, he saw the mountain before him suddenly contract, shrinking smaller and smaller until it completely vanished. What remained was Daniel Walker, sitting lazily atop a pillar. Daniel Walker let out a long yawn and said with a lazy tone, "That took a while. Is there anyone else who hasn't made a move yet? Hurry up, will you? Not letting me eat is one thing, but not letting me sleep. This is just too much." The third elder's face immediately turned alternately pale and red, his hand stroking his beard froze mid-motion. Everyone around stood stiffly, unsure of what to do. The fourth elder got up, laughing heartily. "Who would have thought your spirit beast is of the 8th tier? It seems this truly is a blessing for the Reed family." The third elder quickly found an excuse to save face, saying, "Ah, so it's an 8th tier spirit beast. No wonder." This was his way of explaining why nothing had happened, preserving his dignity. "Who is the blessing of the Reed family, huh? Didn't your Reed family want to kill us? Didn't you refuse to accept Anna? Didn't you even want to kick Anna out?" Daniel Walker glared. The fourth elder didn't expect him to be so blunt, and the smile on his face stiffened slightly before he replied, "Why say such things? When did we ever say we wanted to kill you? Besides, with your strength, we wouldn't be able to kill you in one blow anyway. It's just that the family rules left us no choice." "No choice, you say?" Daniel Walker asked lightly, his gaze assessing the elder. This man didn't look like someone with good intentions. Who knew what his sweet words were hiding now? "That's right. Now, it's just me and old 7th left. Don't worry, we won't harm you," the fourth elder said with a squinted smile. "Then there's no need for that. You all can go all out." Daniel Walker shook his head. He intended to absorb the magic of these people, so how could they not give their full effort? "Are you still resentful towards the family? After all, it was your fault in the beginning. You and Anna share a blood pact. Anna belongs to the Reed family. You can't let Anna down." The fourth elder assumed Daniel was still harboring anger and tried to reason with him. "Who told you all that nonsense? I said go ahead and attack. Use all your strength. Don't understand human language? Should I speak to you in beast language instead? Ba ba ba? You resent the family to this extent? This matter?" The fourth elder looked around, his face troubled. From below, Randy Reed called out. Fourth Elder, what are you hesitating for? He already told you to use full strength. Unfortunately for Randy, even when he had gone all out earlier, he hadn't been able to injure Daniel Walker. This spirit beast was far tougher than they had imagined. The fourth elder glanced at the Grand Elder and the clan leader standing behind Randy Reed. Although he greatly coveted the seven-colored stone on Daniel Walker, he couldn't act too blatantly at the moment. Reluctantly, he began forming hand seals for a spell. If you're so insistent, don't blame me. The fourth elder sighed, seemingly helpless against Daniel Walker's actions. Daniel Walker was speechless at the elder's self-righteous attitude. Rolling his eyes, he simply lay flat on the ground, completely unfazed. The crowd surrounding them instantly looked on in astonishment. The fourth elder also felt embarrassed. The hand seal in his hands quickly formed, and fireballs immediately began raining down towards Daniel Walker. Lying there, Daniel Walker could feel the heat. Although the flames didn't harm him, the temperature was palpable. Can you switch to another element? It's too hot, Daniel Walker muttered. The fourth elder, with his exceptional hearing, naturally caught this. His expression remained unchanged, but the speed of the fireballs noticeably increased. Ah! It's so hot! Daniel Walker complained, this time much louder. The crowd began murmuring among themselves. Will he get hurt this time? I don't know. So he's afraid of heat? Too bad we're too low level to actually harm him. I think he'll be fine again. Randy Reed and his group were all hoping for Daniel Walker to be injured. Even a minor injury would feel like they had avenged themselves. However, they were disappointed. When all the fireballs dissipated, Daniel Walker remained completely unharmed. He shook himself off, looking a little deflated as he sat there. It's too hot. Is there anyone else left to attack me? Can I request the ice element instead? The seventh elder stood up, gazed deeply at Daniel Walker, and said, All right. He refrained from using overly powerful techniques. First, he genuinely didn't want Daniel Walker to get hurt. Second, at this point, it was unnecessary. Everyone could clearly see that this spirit beast had become a top-tier combat force of the Reed family. They couldn't destroy him. Their only option was to win him over. Inflicting further damage was impossible. If they provoked him into a rage, the consequences would be disastrous. When the seventh elder's attack ended, this so-called punishment was finally over. It had not only wasted time, but also drained the energy of many people, a complete waste of effort. As for Daniel Walker, the one who endured the punishment, he was full and satisfied. However, he was currently stuck in an uncomfortable state, feeling itchy in a way he couldn't scratch, leaving him extremely eager for more power. But with the punishment concluded, he couldn't continue to endure further attacks. Seeing that the elders remained silent, Daniel Walker assumed they couldn't respond, so he said, It seems one round didn't work. How about we do it again? Everyone immediately looked at him, speechless. The third elder actually wanted to agree, but he couldn't afford to lose face. No need for that. You've already been punished. Let's consider this matter resolved, the seventh elder said. Daniel Walker nodded, stood up, and dusted himself off. In that case, shouldn't we settle the score between me and your Reed family? First of all, Samantha Reed's contracted beast ran away on its own, yet you blamed me for it, and even punished me. Don't you think you owe me an explanation? Daniel Walker's words made everyone's expressions turn exceedingly awkward. What do you mean by that? The third elder's face darkened. Chapter 49, Negotiation. Daniel Walker cast a disdainful glance at him. Can't you understand human language? You're old enough to get your hearing problem treated, aren't you? You? The third elder was so furious that he was left speechless. Me. I'm perfectly fine. Didn't I make myself clear? You people are falsely accusing me just to settle personal scores, isn't that right? Is it so hard for you to tolerate Anna? Huh? The seventh elder frowned and said, Child, I know this matter is upsetting you, but are you sure you want to make such a scene? I absolutely want to make a scene. So what? Do you think you can stop me? The seventh elder was momentarily at a loss for words. Suddenly, someone was sneaking toward Anna Reed. Anna! Daniel Walker always kept an eye on Anna Reed, worried that those shameless people might harm her. So, the moment he noticed the intruder, he immediately unleashed a guiding spell. A golden light flashed, causing several people nearby to scream in pain, clutching their eyes as tears streamed down their faces. When the golden light faded, Anna Reed stood beside Daniel Walker, while the sneaky rat-faced boy was squatting on the ground, clutching his eyes and crying. Humph. Let's see what you have to say now. Daring to target Anna while I'm talking. Do you really think I'm that easy to bully? Daniel Walker pulled Anna Reed into his arms, finding it most convenient to protect her this way. This cough. So what result do you want? The fourth elder smiled as he spoke, but if one observed closely, they would notice the corners of his eyes twitching uncontrollably. The blinding golden light was making him uncomfortable, but he couldn't afford to lose face. Very simple. I want you all to treat Anna and Samantha Reed equally in terms of status and privileges. Whatever Samantha Reed has, Anna must have it too. Daniel Walker raised his head and spoke arrogantly. He wasn't entirely sure how strong he had become, but he felt confident that dealing with these old men in front of him wouldn't be a problem. Therefore, he believed he had every right to demand resources. Unless, of course, the Reed family no longer needed his power, in which case he had nothing to hold back. Your request is a bit excessive. The fourth elder maintained his smile. Excessive? Then let's change it. I won't ask for anything for Anna anymore. Daniel Walker flexed his claws and calculated, saying, Look, I'm currently a level 9 spirit beast. Your Reed family might not even have a beast as strong as me. The expressions of everyone present immediately changed as they stared at Daniel Walker in shock. Level 9? My goodness! Impossible? But after a moment of astonishment, many started to believe it was true. No level 8 spirit beast could withstand so many attacks and remain unharmed, even if some of the attacks were weak. After all, many ants can topple an elephant. Even a level 8 spirit beast, relying solely on its flesh without any additional defenses, couldn't possibly escape without a single scratch. So, a level 9 spirit beast was definitely worth considering. Anna likes this place. After all, it's her home. Otherwise, I would have taken her away long ago. Daniel Walker rolled his eyes and spoke without hesitation. So, for a level 9 spirit beast like me, are you really not going to give me an elder's position? The smile on the fourth elder's face froze. Was this a joke? Letting a spirit beast become an elder? But if he truly was a level 9 spirit beast, his physical strength alone would be enough to cause chaos if he went on a rampage. They couldn't afford to offend him unless they had a way to kill him. You're dreaming! Wanting to become an elder. The third elder snapped back to his senses and spoke, but before he could finish, the fourth elder covered his mouth. I am. It's not entirely impossible. The fourth elder glanced at the third elder. Third brother, think carefully. We can't deal with this guy. The fourth elder whispered to him, and the third elder fell silent upon hearing those words. But you're still a spirit beast. Anyone who wants to become an elder must make significant contributions to the family. Otherwise, you can only serve as a steward, the fourth elder said with a smile, pretending to consider Daniel's interests. Then being a steward is fine, Daniel Walker replied bluntly, finally adding, I'm not picky really. The fourth elder kept his smile, but internally, He was fuming and holding back curses. To become a steward, you still need to make sufficient contributions. He gritted his teeth and said, "But I am a 9th level spirit beast. A 9th level spirit beast, you hear me? Isn't that enough of a contribution to support your Reed family? If you don't need me, I'll take Anna and leave right away. I refuse to believe that under this vast sky, there's no place willing to take us in." Daniel Walker snorted. With that, he tugged at Anna Reed's sleeve. Anna Reed understood his intention and followed up. "Yes, I'll listen to Dumpling." The 4th elder's gaze wavered, and the smile on his face faltered. He looked around at everyone and said, "Ahem, let's discuss this in the Elders' Council. This isn't the place for it. Everyone disperse now. It's been a long day, go rest." Although the crowd wanted to see more drama, with the elders speaking up, they dared not linger. "Let's go!" The 4th elder smiled at Daniel Walker. "Fine." Daniel Walker showed no fear. He was determined to fight for a different life for Anna Reed, a life that would no longer be like the one she had before. At the very least, she would no longer have to wear ill-fitting clothes because she couldn't bear to replace them, nor would she have to eat while watching others' moods. At the entrance of the Elders' Council, Daniel Walker once again saw the 2 disciples who had been guarding the gate earlier. The 2 disciples quickly bowed upon seeing the elders. "Greetings, 3rd elder, 4th elder, and 7th elder." The 3 elders nodded indifferently, maintaining their dignified demeanor. Daniel Walker curled his lips and said, "3rd elder, I don't think there's any need to go inside. Let's just talk here." "How could we do that?" The 4th elder, afraid of what the 3rd elder might say, quickly intervened, smiling as he looked at Daniel Walker. "It's better to go inside. I assume this is your first time at the Elders' Council? Would you like to take a tour?" "No need." Daniel Walker arrogantly turned his head away. The disciples standing nearby, witnessing the scene, were wide-eyed in disbelief. Just 2 days ago, these 2 had been chased out by them, and now the elders were treating them with such respect. What on earth was happening? They hadn't been able to attend the 10,000 Laws trial since they were on guard duty. "All right, follow me to the discussion hall." Once inside the discussion hall, the 4th elder ordered some food to be brought out for the 2 of them. This act made Daniel Walker think that the old man knew how to handle things and was keenly observant. The 4th elder presented an array of exquisite delicacies, all infused with spiritual energy. The fruits were fresh and juicy, of the highest quality. As Daniel Walker ate, he stuffed food into Anna Reed's hands, saying, "Eat more. You need to grow strong." The 4th elder initially waited calmly for them to finish eating, but he quickly realized that this guy was eating far too much. One plate of spiritual fruits after another was brought out, and the 4th elder felt a pang of pain in his heart. Although he wouldn't personally pay for it, these were still their resources. These spiritual fruits were harvested only once a year. There wasn't an endless supply. Chapter 50. You will regret this. But when you eat someone's food, your mouth softens. When you take someone's things, your hands grow short. After eating so many delicacies, shouldn't this kid behave a bit more properly? Unfortunately, Daniel Walker showed no sign of enlightenment. Burp! Daniel Walker let out a burp, grabbed another spirit fruit, and continued munching as he spoke. "The food here is really delicious, unlike where I come from. Back home, we barely have enough to eat, let alone enjoy anything tasty." The 4th elder's smile froze slightly. "Burp! Today, I finally got to eat my fill for once. It's not easy, you know. If only every day could be like this." The 4th elder's smile became even more forced. "Now that I think about it, being an elder seems pretty great. I want to be an elder too. Let's discuss how I can become one, shall we? Or maybe I can just directly become an elder? I get it. You probably didn't bring it up before because there were too many people around. That's fine. We can talk about it now. The fourth elder's smile completely disappeared. He frowned and said, It's not that we don't want you to be an elder, but you're a spirit beast. After all, you're not human. How could you possibly become an elder of our human clan? So does that mean I can be an elder of the spirit beasts then? The fourth elder could no longer force a smile. His expression darkened slightly as he said, That's not possible either. You're still just a little one. Isn't this just nonsense? Do you even know how many species of spirit beasts there are? Do you know how they're usually taken care of? Their techniques, their food, all of it. Then why would an elder need to handle those matters? Don't the managers take care of trivial stuff like that? Isn't that what they're for? If not, what's the point of having managers? Daniel Walker, now full and brimming with energy, spoke leisurely. That may be so, but there's never been a precedent for a spirit beast becoming an elder. Besides, if you become an elder, what happens when another spirit beast demands to become one too? Then just set a precedent. And if they're not allowed, they can come to me. Let them fight me. I'll lie still and let them hit me. If they manage to hurt me, I'll admit defeat. Unfortunately, Daniel Walker's legs were still stubby. Otherwise, he might have crossed them arrogantly to better display his boldness. The fourth elder was at a loss, and could only look at the other two. The third elder, still holding a grudge about being overlooked earlier, chose to ignore the situation, since he could do nothing about Daniel Walker anyway. The seventh elder spoke up. I think we can give it a try. After all, it's rare to come across a ninth-level spirit beast. While the great elder's contracted beast is also ninth level, it's already old. If it can't pass the ascension gate, it will surely perish. This child, however, is still young. The fourth elder knew the family had no reason to refuse, but letting Daniel Walker take advantage of the situation so easily, that didn't sit well with him. Fine, but there must be a contribution to silence the critics. What kind of contribution are you suggesting? The seventh elder asked. For instance, offering a treasure. I think your 7-colored stone necklace would suffice. Or perhaps you could tell us where it came from. The fourth elder finally revealed his true intention. Originally, he had planned to deal with Daniel Walker privately, but Daniel's unexpected strength rendered his previous schemes useless. Huh? Daniel Walker clutched his necklace, staring at the fourth elder in shock. This necklace is my only treasure. You want to take it? I have nothing else except for this spirit energy storage. Even Anna, aside from the trinkets given by the young clan leader, has nothing. Look at her shorts. They're so worn out, and we can't even afford to buy her new ones. We're practically broke, and you still want us to hand over treasures? But without a contribution, we can't make an exception. The fourth elder, irritated by Daniel's refusal, retorted. The seventh elder cast a deep glance at the fourth elder before speaking. A contribution doesn't necessarily have to be a treasure. Sufficient spirit stones would work as well. Spirit stones? I don't even have silver, let alone spirit stones. Daniel Walker responded without hesitation. He had no intention of giving up a single coin from his pocket. Dream on. Then there's nothing more I can do. The seventh elder, who had wanted to help him, sighed. This child was simply too stubborn. Fine, have it your way. If you don't let me become an elder, don't come crying to me later. Daniel huffed. The fourth elder chuckled, saying, All right, but don't cause any trouble. After all, you're still part of the Reed family. We can ensure better living conditions for you and provide resources according to the status of an ordinary disciple of the Reed family. Beyond that, you'll have to earn everything yourself. Daniel raised his middle finger, not that anyone noticed except himself. An ordinary disciple? Whatever. I've said my piece. Whether you regret it later is up to you, he sneered. The fourth elder smiled knowingly and nodded. He wasn't worried about Daniel causing any significant trouble. As long as the boy didn't attack anyone, the elder was confident he could control the situation. After all, they were just two kids. What could they possibly do? The seventh elder, though not in agreement, chose to remain silent. He had done all he could to help. Like the fourth elder, he believed that, in the end, they were just two children. Tonight was bound to be anything but peaceful. But in this small courtyard, no one could disturb them. Anna Reed hugged Daniel Walker as they slept on the bed. It was rare for her to skip her cultivation and sleep through the night. Little dumpling, thank you. Anna Reed gently kissed Daniel Walker on the cheek. Ahem. Daniel Walker squirmed slightly, feeling a bit embarrassed. Even though Anna Reed was just a little girl, he still felt there should be boundaries between boys and girls. Haha, what boundaries between boys and girls? Little dumpling is a male after all. Anna Reed sat up abruptly. Daniel Walker's voice had always sounded like that of a 3- or 4-year-old child, making it truly difficult to distinguish his gender. Of course, Anna Reed knew he was male, but at this moment, she suddenly felt like teasing him. She even pretended to check Daniel Walker's gender, startling him. He quickly scurried to the side, looking at her with a pitiful expression. Anna, you've changed. You weren't like this before. Anna Reed burst into laughter, her cheerful giggles bringing a natural sense of joy to anyone who heard them. Daniel Walker couldn't help but feel as though he was living with a girl growing up at home. Recently, Anna Reed had become much more open, which was a good thing. 2 more days passed, and the family remained quiet. Not even the basic resources for ordinary disciples were available. Daniel Walker wasn't in a hurry, as he was waiting for today to attend the martial arts hall class. If humans failed him, he could still go bully some beasts, couldn't he? However, this time, he didn't linger in the beginner zone for long. The beasts in the beginner zone heaved a collective sigh of relief. They all knew how ferocious Daniel Walker was, already at the 9th level, and naturally dared not provoke him. But just as Daniel Walker was about to step into the intermediate zone under their watchful eyes, he suddenly turned back to look at them. Prepare your silver and spirit stones. If anyone's short, I'll come asking. Hongi, you helped me collect. I'll give you a tip. Du Hongi's eyes lit up, and he immediately nodded in agreement. The beasts collectively groaned inwardly, but dared not voice any objections. Only then did Daniel Walker slowly walk into the intermediate zone. Last time, due to carelessness, he had wandered into the Peacock King's territory and hadn't explored other areas. Chapter 51, Mommy Rabbit. This place was indeed different from the beginner zone. Every spirit beast here had its own territory, as most of them were at the 6th or 7th level. He arrived at a grassy plain, a flat area starkly different from the Peacock King's territory, which was filled with flowers, plants, and trees. Here, there was nothing but grass. Kid, aren't you afraid of being beaten up coming here? A voice sounded from behind him. Daniel Walker turned around and saw a rabbit several times larger than him, looking at him with a gentle gaze. You look somewhat familiar, Daniel Walker said politely to the rabbit, whose voice was as soft as a mother's. You think all rabbits look the same, don't you? The rabbit chuckled. No, there's a mischievous rabbit in the beginner zone. Is it your child? Daniel Walker asked. The rabbit he referred to was a male who loved gossip and fights, and last time, it almost got into trouble with a venomous python and a crane. That's right. You know my child? Mommy Rabbit's expression turned helpless at the mention of her offspring. Yes, we're actually quite close. And Rabbit, may I ask you something? Daniel Walker asked. Go ahead. Where is Shorty Croc? He wanted to start by finding this guy. Initially, he planned to deal with whoever he encountered first, but who would have thought this mommy rabbit would be so kind-hearted, making it inconvenient for him to act? Why are you looking for him? Mommy rabbit asked, a bit surprised. If there's anything, just tell me, please. Daniel Walker pleaded playfully. After all, the little guy had the advantage of his appearance. Seeing his adorable expression, Mommy Rabbit couldn't bring herself to refuse and nodded, saying, I'll take you there. Actually, there's no need. I can go by myself. Daniel Walker quickly waved his hands, but Mommy Rabbit had already moved forward. She turned around, bit the back of his neck gently, and placed him on her back. Does she really see me as a child? Daniel Walker thought, half laughing, half crying. It was the first time he'd experienced something like this. Mommy Rabbit's back was very soft, and her fur was fluffy. Lying on it, he unexpectedly felt a strange illusion of having a mother. Shorty Croc naturally lived by the river, in the shallow waters downstream. There wasn't just one Shorty Croc there. In the higher-level areas, there was even an 8th-grade Shorty Croc, the contracted beast of the clan leader. Currently, Shorty Croc was showing off in the water, splashing its tail loudly against the surface and occasionally letting out cries. Nearby, a female Shorty Croc watched, her eyes showing a hint of interest. With Fire Serpent not around, Shorty Croc could basically dominate the area. After all, it had a powerful father, who would dare mess with him. Lily Gardner, look at me, Shorty Croc said shyly, twisting awkwardly. In its hand was a pink flower it had somehow found. Do you think I'm handsome? Lily Gardner was actually Lily, the neighbor of his, but Lily was a wild Shorty Croc. She accidentally came to the Reed family's house and decisively stayed there, but she had yet to form a contract with anyone. Usually, very few people were willing to form contracts with female beasts. It wasn't because female beasts were weak. It was mainly because they sometimes had to give birth. During that time, they almost completely lost their combat ability. Moreover, after giving birth, their spiritual energy would decrease, and even their lifespan could be affected. Compared to female beasts, male beasts were still more favored, except in rare cases where male beasts took on the role of reproduction. Mommy Rabbit led Daniel Walker to the riverbank. As soon as Shorty Croc's words reached his ears, Daniel Walker burst out laughing. Ha ha ha, you're truly shameless. Mommy Rabbit helplessly glanced at Daniel Walker, pulled him down from her back, and said, You really are. Daniel Walker chuckled mischievously, waved his hand, and looked at the green-faced Shorty Croc. Long time no see. Has your tail grown back? Shorty Croc's face darkened. The pain of losing its tail was a lifelong scar. If its master hadn't attached a fake tail made of spirit stones, it would have permanently lost its real one. But no matter what, it wasn't an original. Daniel Walker, how dare you come to my territory? Shorty Croc raged, ignoring his own Lily. It was furious. Why wouldn't I dare? Not only am I here, but I also feel like fighting you. You? Shorty Croc leapt out of the water, launching an attack straight at Daniel Walker. However, this attack was intercepted by Mommy Rabbit. Oh, so you brought someone to help you, Daniel Walker. Do you think she can protect you? Shorty Croc's expression showed a hint of caution. Then why don't you try and see? Daniel Walker found it strange, wondering why it seemed to fear Mommy Rabbit. Humph. I won't stoop to your level today. Get out of here. Shorty Croc didn't dare to truly engage. You may not want to stoop, but I do. Tell me who your master is. Daniel Walker wanted to know its master's identity to stay alert. My master is the young clan leader. You didn't even know that? Humph. Truly a frog at the bottom of a well. Oh, what a coincidence. Daniel Walker smirked slyly at it. Then, he charged at Shorty Croc, his claws slashing straight at him. Shorty Croc still thought his strength was the same as 10 days ago, completely unaware that his tearing power had increased significantly. Relying on his thick skin, Shorty Croc also lunged forward to clash with him. The result, of course, was utterly disastrous. "Ah! Spare me! I was wrong! Big Brother Dumpling! Big Brother Panda! I was wrong!" Being shameless by nature, when Daniel Walker clawed him until he was covered in blood, fear had already taken root in his heart. "Wrong? What exactly were you wrong about?" Daniel Walker asked as he raised his claws for another strike. "I was wrong for being blind and disrespectful to you. Your human speech isn't bad. What else? I shouldn't have provoked you again and again. What else? What else?" Shorty Croc racked his brains, but he truly couldn't think of anything else. "Looks like you can't think of anything more." Daniel Walker regretfully shook his head. Shorty Croc hurriedly shouted, "I remember now. I shouldn't have bragged in front of you. I shouldn't have threatened you. I shouldn't have overestimated myself. What else? What else?" Shorty Croc was on the verge of tears, genuinely clueless about what more he could say. "That's right, and besides, you can't think of anything? It's okay, let's go, we'll think slowly." Daniel Walker grabbed Shorty Croc's tail, casually picked a direction, and dragged him along. Mommy Rabbit tilted her head, pondering for a moment, but in the end, she decided not to follow. Initially, she thought Daniel Walker's strength wasn't great and feared he might suffer, so she stepped in to help. But seeing that he was fine, she chose not to continue tagging along. "Boss, I really don't know what else I did wrong. Please let me go. I'm already injured like this, and if my dad sees me, he'll beat me again." Shorty Croc, being dragged like a lifeless dog, spoke with despair. "Oh, so you have a dad. Who is your dad?" Daniel Walker laughed. "Of course I have a dad. Otherwise, where would I come from? My dad is the contracted beast of the clan leader, living in the high-tier area." Perhaps mentioning his father gave him some pride, as Shorty Croc's tone became noticeably more arrogant. Daniel Walker thought for a moment before suddenly becoming excited and tossing Shorty Croc forward. "Then take me to find your dad." Chapter 52, Despair. Shorty Croc sluggishly carried Daniel Walker toward the high-level area. "My dad is really powerful. You shouldn't go looking for him," Shorty Croc whispered. "It's fine. I just want to broaden my horizons a bit." Daniel Walker sat on Shorty Croc's back, swinging his short legs. Shorty Croc stayed silent for a moment. As they approached the high-level area, he spoke again. "My dad is truly very powerful. Can you not go anymore? In the end, are you going, or am I going? I'm not even scared. So what are you worried about? You're such a busybody." Daniel Walker raised his paw and smacked him lightly. Shorty Croc's eyes welled up with tears, but he had no choice but to accept his fate and carry Daniel Walker toward the high-level area. He was terrified. If his dad found out he was being bullied so miserably that he was living such a pitiful life, he would surely beat him to death. With Daniel Walker still riding on his back, his fear only grew stronger. As a result, he moved slower and slower. Daniel Walker, losing patience, patted his tail. "Do you still want to keep this tail of yours or not?" No. Shorty Croc jolted in fright and quickly picked up the pace. The high-level area didn't look much different from the mid-level area, but the number of spirit beasts here was significantly fewer. Almost every spirit beast had its own large territory. The territorial awareness of the spirit beasts here was also much stronger. Thus, Shorty Croc led Daniel Walker into his father's territory. Even if he got beaten, at least he was still his father's son, so his life would likely be spared. but other matters were hard to say. Among spirit beasts, once territorial disputes were involved, family clans generally wouldn't interfere, as it was considered a personal matter. In fact, under normal circumstances, spirit beasts didn't invade each other. In the low-level area, there might be some skirmishes, but they rarely had malicious intent to take someone's life. Only the venomous fire python in the mid-level area was more domineering and ruthless. But now, the venomous fire python was a thing of the past. "Where's your father?" Daniel Walker looked around, surrounded by forests and swamps. He didn't quite like this place. "Probably up ahead, I'm not sure, but my dad definitely knows we've entered his territory." Just like how Mommy Rabbit immediately knew when Daniel Walker entered her domain, every spirit beast could sense when a stranger stepped into their territory. Then find a dry spot to wait. "I don't like this filthy place." Being a furry mammal, staying here would surely get him covered in mud, and the thought alone disgusted him. Shorty Croc didn't dare argue and led him to a flat, dry patch of land. As soon as they arrived, Shorty Croc felt a familiar oppressive aura approaching. It quickly turned its head and, sure enough, saw a massive Shorty Croc heading their way, its face fierce and menacing. "My dad's here." Shorty Croc grew anxious. Covered in blood as it was, it would surely be in trouble if its father saw it like this. Daniel Walker didn't feel any pressure, but as the larger Shorty Croc approached, he could feel the ground trembling beneath him. Curious, he stared at the oversized version of Shorty Croc. This crocodile looked far more ferocious, Daniel Walker thought to himself. "Who are you to dare ride on my child?" The large Shorty Croc fixed its golden eyes on Daniel Walker immediately. "I'm not a human." Daniel Walker replied innocently. "What kind of beast are you?" The large Shorty Croc eyed the small creature in front of it, debating whether or not to eat it. It had never seen this species before. "I'm a panda," Daniel Walker said, seemingly oblivious to the danger. "Is a panda a bear or a cat?" "Whatever it is, get off my child this instant." The large Shorty Croc glared at its son in irritation, who shrank back timidly like a turtle, wondering why it had such a useless offspring. "Whatever a panda is, it's true that this panda beat up your son." Daniel Walker tilted his small head, his expression as innocent as ever. "Then you're asking for death." The large Shorty Croc unleashed the oppressive aura of an 8th-level spirit beast. Normally, anyone below level 8 would feel immense pressure, trembling more intensely the lower their level. But Daniel Walker simply widened his dark eyes, staring blankly as if he didn't understand what was happening. Frustrated, the large Shorty Croc increased its pressure. Thud, the smaller Shorty Croc collapsed. It looked utterly hopeless, thinking this time it would surely be beaten even worse, perhaps even subjected to some special training. The elder Shorty Croc remained silent for a moment, glancing at its incompetent offspring with eyes full of murderous intent before withdrawing its oppressive aura. "What level are you? 8th grade?" The elder Shorty Croc realized this young one wasn't an ordinary spirit beast. "Not at all!" Daniel Walker exclaimed as he leaped in front of the elder Shorty Croc. Since Daniel appeared to have no offensive abilities and looked like nothing more than a lump of milk dough, the elder Shorty Croc neither retreated nor assumed a defensive posture. "I'm 9th grade." Daniel Walker raised his claws and swiped, causing the elder Shorty Croc to cry out in pain. It was horrified to discover that its tough armored skin had been slashed deeply. Only then did it understand why its son had ended up so bloodied. "You want to die!" The elder Shorty Croc refused to believe Daniel was 9th grade. If he truly was, why didn't he exude any oppressive aura at all? Facing the elder Shorty Croc's attack, a look of ease flashed in Daniel Walker's eyes. As expected, only attacks from 8th grade or higher could now bring him any sensation. Everything else felt like a breeze brushing past. After enduring a barrage of strikes, Daniel Walker shook off his fur and leisurely walked toward the elder Shorty Croc. He raised his head to meet its gaze and, taking advantage of its focus on him, activated his stored spiritual energy to cast a binding spell. It wasn't necessarily meant to bind the elder Shorty Croc, just to dazzle it. Sure enough, the elder Shorty Croc was momentarily blinded by a sudden golden light, letting out a pained roar. Daniel Walker quickly stood upright and wildly slashed with both claws. The young Shorty Croc watching nearby grew even more desperate. Seeing its massive father being spun around like a top by Daniel, it knew for certain it would face even harsher punishment later. The elder Shorty Croc, after being scratched several times, cried out in pain and swung its tail to counterattack. Daniel Walker leaped into the air, his youthful voice shouting, "You old scoundrel, take this!" The elder Shorty Croc instinctively looked toward him, only to be hit by another low-level spell. The golden light flashed again, and it was struck once more, tears streaming down its face. "I wonder what crocodile tears can be used for," Daniel Walker muttered, showing no mercy as he slashed from its head to its tail. Roar! This time, the elder Shorty Croc let out a truly agonized cry. The surrounding ground trembled, and the birds in the forest scattered in fear. Hearing the commotion, several spirit beasts from neighboring territories raised their heads, looking toward the elder Shorty Croc's domain. "What's going on?" A rabbit wearing a large gold chain around its neck looked up, pondered for a moment, and then hopped off toward the elder Shorty Croc's territory. 3 other spirit beasts followed suit, heading in the same direction. Chapter 53. I Want to be an Elder. It is possible to injure Shorty Croc, meaning they can be harmed, but they have no idea what is happening. This is not a good situation, so they want to investigate further. "Hey, big guy, if I call out to you, do you dare to respond?" Daniel Walker's immature voice rang out. The large Shorty Croc's eyes turned red. "Do you think I'd fall for your trick again?" It refused to look at Daniel Walker, as always, suspecting he would use the golden light again. "Then what's that over there?" Daniel Walker pointed at its child. Instinctively, the large Shorty Croc looked in the direction, and saw a golden light shining on the smaller Shorty Croc, then reflecting back. It was a guiding technique. "Damn it!" When the 4 beasts arrived, they found both the large and small Shorty Crocs in a miserable state, with the larger one still struggling against a tiny round creature. They exchanged astonished glances before turning their attention to the little round being. The rabbit touched its golden necklace. "Why does this round thing smell like my wife? Could it be that my wife had a secret child outside?" It immediately felt alarmed and conflicted while looking at Daniel Walker. Could its wife have taken a short-haired black rabbit as a lover? Should it forgive her or forgive her? "What are you all standing around for? Hurry up and catch that brat. He's got tricks. He claims he's a 9th rank." The large Shorty Croc grew annoyed seeing them, just watching the spectacle. But they all wore expressions of amusement, clearly uninterested in helping. On the contrary, Little Rabbit hesitated, then stepped forward and asked, "Hey, kid!" Daniel Walker turned his head, blinking. Was he being called? Daddy Rabbit's expression immediately became indescribable. So ugly, with dark circles under the eyes, and that appearance doesn't look like a rabbit at all. Could it be that his wife found some new species? "You? Never mind." Back then, it was his fault with his wife. Whatever she wants is fine, as long as she's happy. He wouldn't mind. He didn't care at all. "Kid, what's your name?" Daddy Rabbit looked at Daniel Walker with an expression that was both affectionate and peculiar. It made Daniel Walker feel a bit uncomfortable. What's going on here? "My name is Daniel Walker. You can call me Little Dumpling." "Oh, Little Dumpling, huh? Nice name." "Ahem, I'm Mason Young. You can call me Uncle Young." Daddy Rabbit still couldn't quite accept having a son like this. But then again, this kid looked ugly yet sort of cute. Oh well, being ugly isn't his fault. Or you can call me Daddy Young if you prefer. He felt he was being extremely patient already. Daniel Walker looked at him in surprise, thinking this rabbit must not be right in the head. And what was with that giant gold chunk? It could definitely rival his own rainbow-colored necklace. Although I saved your son, you're asking me to call you Dad right off the bat? Isn't that a bit much? You saved my son? Daddy Rabbit froze, then sighed even more deeply at the unpredictability of life. Fate plays tricks on us. Fate plays tricks indeed. He tilted his head back to lament at the heavens. Yep, definitely not right in the head, Daniel Walker concluded, turning to look at the big shorty croc instead, ignoring Daddy Rabbit completely. You're the spirit beast contracted to the clan leader, aren't you? Daniel Walker asked arrogantly, staring at it. The big shorty croc felt utterly wronged. When it got back, it would definitely teach this kid a lesson. What was this? Being bullied by a brat? How humiliating. So what? It grumbled irritably. Good. Tell the clan leader that from today onward, I am the elder of the spirit beasts. All of you must pay tribute to me with spirit stones. Only spirit stones. The amount will depend on your strength. Daniel Walker's words left the group of spirit beasts staring at him in astonishment. Kid, do you even know what you're saying? A large white dog looked at Daniel Walker skeptically. Of course I do. I haven't even finished talking yet. If any of you are unhappy with this, feel free to come at me. If I get hurt, I won't take the position. Daniel Walker taunted them, beckoning provocatively with his finger. Daddy Rabbit's face twisted in indecision as he looked at Daniel Walker. After all, this was his sort of son. But with such arrogance, should he step in or not? If he did, his wife might ignore him for 3 whole months. What a truly difficult dilemma. Good lad, then take one of my moves and see how you fare. Although they felt Daniel Walker might be boasting, seeing the miserable state of the shorty croc earlier, they dared not underestimate him. The attack struck Daniel Walker, but he neither dodged nor defended himself, leaving them astonished. Daniel Walker sat there looking obedient, but inside he was elated, as obtaining some magic nowadays was no easy feat. When the attack ceased and Daniel Walker remained unharmed, they exchanged glances, their expressions turning serious. Born as a 9th rank? The large white dog asked. What born as a 9th rank? I think there's something strange about him, scoffed an eagle, its feathers dull, and its age evident. The large white dog ignored the eagle. Though the eagle had once been a 9th rank, its advanced age had taken its toll, and its strength had begun to wane. The eagle soared high before diving down to attack Daniel Walker. Be careful! Father Rabbit shouted anxiously. Daniel Walker looked up at the descending eagle, its talons glowing with a sharp light, appearing fearsome. Let me see if you really are a 9th rank. The eagle, aware of its old age, knew that without reaching the heavenly medicine sect, it had no hope of survival. Yet, it still clung to its pride. A mere fledgling dared to claim 9th rank in its presence. How could it not be enraged? But rather than anger, it was jealousy. Jealousy of a fledgling possessing such power, possibly capable of surpassing the Ascension Gate and going further, while its own path had reached its end. Jealousy had twisted its heart. The eagle's attack landed on Daniel Walker, its talons digging into his flesh. But to its horror, while its claws did pierce Daniel Walker's body, his flesh felt like clay, molding under the pressure without tearing. Even so, Daniel Walker felt pain and instinctively swung his hand, striking the eagle and leaving a bloody wound across its chest. Shriek! The falcon let out a painful cry, soared up once more, and headed straight back to its territory, but still left behind quite a bit of blood and feathers. The remaining 3 beasts stayed silent, not daring to make a sound. The falcon was indeed old. It no longer possessed the spiritual power of the 9th rank, nor the sharp claws it once had. But it had once been at the 9th rank. A spirit beast that had reached the 9th rank was still vastly different from 8th rank creatures like them. Other beasts might claim they weren't afraid of it, but to take a hit without injury and easily counterattack? That was absolutely impossible. "Well done, son!" The turtle rabbit excitedly shook its golden collar, producing the jingling sound of coins. Chapter 54. Crushing. "Who's your son? Don't just randomly claim kinship, okay?" Daniel Walker angrily glared at Daddy Rabbit. Why was this guy so hyperactive? "Aren't you the son of my wife?" Daddy Rabbit looked at him pitifully. "Mommy Rabbit must have been blind to choose you." Hearing this, Daddy Rabbit chuckled awkwardly, fiddling with his gold necklace, and said, "That's right, everyone says the same thing. Back then, my wife was way more powerful than me." However, later on, she transferred all her spiritual power to Little White Rabbit, dropping from the late 8th level all the way to the 6th level, and she could no longer cultivate further. This was mainly because Mommy Rabbit's contract partner, the 2nd elder, had suddenly passed away. After that, Mommy Rabbit lost her desire to ascend to the Ascension Gate and decided to give her child the best aptitude possible. Initially, she wanted her child to become the contract beast of Kevin Reed, since the 2nd elder was Kevin Reed's mentor. But at the time, Kevin Reed was still young and had just bonded with the Peacock King, who was more suitable for him. So later, she followed the family's arrangements. As Daddy Rabbit spoke, his expression turned sorrowful. Daniel Walker pondered and asked, "Why did the 2nd elder pass away?" Daddy Rabbit sprawled on the grass. They were currently on his turf. As for the elder's suggestion, they had no objections. In the world of spirit beasts, the stronger one was, the more respect they received. Forming ties with a naturally gifted 9th level cub wasn't a bad idea. "It was the 1st elder. I don't understand the grudges among you humans, but back then, if I hadn't stopped my wife, she would have gone to save her teammate in time. She feels so guilty about it. Sigh." "I see." To spirit beasts, contract partners were lifelong companions, the closest of friends. Betrayals were rare, and most partnerships lasted a lifetime. "But kid, do you really want to become some elder, or whatever? Those people won't agree." Daddy Rabbit glanced at Daniel Walker, still finding him completely incompatible with the aesthetic standards of rabbits. "They wouldn't dare disagree. I have my ways. As long as you all agree, it's fine. No problem at all." Daniel collected his spirit stones, confident that no one could stop him from doing what he wanted. "Fine, I don't have any objections anyway. But since we're on good terms, there's no need to charge so many spirit stones. I even thought you were my son. I was wondering." Daddy Rabbit looked at Daniel Walker's suspicious gaze, recalling the power he had just displayed. He didn't finish his sentence. He had almost said he was wondering how he could have fathered such an ugly child. "So how about a discount?" Daddy Rabbit cleared his throat. Daniel Walker shook his head and said, "Even blood brothers must be fair. A deal is a deal. If I make an exception for you, does that mean I'll have to do it for everyone I know tomorrow? That's not happening. Are you sure you can't lower the price?" Daddy Rabbit's face twisted in distress. All his money had been saved up to give to his wife. "Of course I can. I'll give you a 0.01% discount. How about that?" "Fine." Daniel Walker was immediately astonished as he looked at him, not expecting Daddy Rabbit's father to be such a person. "Stingy men are no good. They won't have friends or even a wife," Daniel Walker said with a pained expression. "My son already has one. Daddy Rabbit's father retorted disdainfully. I plan to start collecting spirit stones. Hand them over. 100 pieces. I won't ask you for more this month, Daniel Walker said, extending his paw. Daddy Rabbit's father immediately felt as if his heart was being torn apart. Those were spirit stones, actual money. He counted the spirit stones one by one, and if any were slightly larger, he swapped them out for smaller ones. Is this really necessary? Go ask your contract partner for them, Daniel Walker exclaimed, thinking that with his gold necklace, the man must be rich, only to find out how stingy he was. That's easy for you to say. If I go ask my contract partner, wouldn't that be like admitting? He suddenly lifted his head to look at Daniel Walker and asked seriously, Are you really not afraid of those humans? Let me tell you, humans are cunning. They may not be strong, but their schemes are endless. I know. After all, he had once been human himself, so he feared no one. All right, do as you wish. Daniel Walker collected a large pile of spirit stones. Since he didn't have a storage ring, he had to ask Daddy Rabbit's father for one. Though it pained him greatly, Daddy Rabbit's father still gave him the ring. He then went to the intermediate zone and summoned all the spirit beasts. Naturally, a few were unwilling to come, so he gave them a good beating. From now on, every time you attend class, you must hand over spirit stones. No less than 50 pieces each time. Don't even think about skipping unless you can defeat me. Oh, and feel free to challenge me whenever you're unhappy, even sneak attacks are fine. I won't hold a grudge, as long as you pay up. Daniel Walker calculated in his mind, thinking that anyone who dared to fight him would only help him level up. Even 8th level spirit beasts had to pay spirit stones, let alone these others. Returning to the beginner zone, the little fox had already collected the spirit stones, with each beast contributing 10 to 20 pieces, as they were genuinely poor. Daniel Walker generously gave the little fox 50 spirit stones as a reward, making the fox so happy it squinted with joy. From now on, I'll help you collect them, as long as you give me tips. Du-Hongi thought she could earn a bit more, and was overjoyed. All right, I'll leave the beginner zone to you, Daniel Walker said, patting her on the shoulder. The surrounding spirit beasts were furious but dared not utter a word. They were deeply unwilling, yet everyone knew how formidable Daniel Walker was. There's still some time before class ends. Start attacking me now. Consider it a test of your spellcasting skills, Daniel Walker said seriously. The beasts were momentarily unable to comprehend his intentions. Even if you're uninjured, why do this? It was clearly an intentional humiliation. A few spirit beasts secretly went all out in their attacks, but unfortunately, they ended up nearly exhausted, while Daniel Walker took the opportunity to mock them even further. You've been studying for this long, and this is all you've got. Pathetic. Tisk TSK, you don't even tickle me. What did you eat to grow this big? Do you even deserve the title of a monkey? By nightfall, Daniel Walker left satisfied with his gains, while the spirit beasts dragged themselves away, barely alive, their hearts filled with dread at the thought of future lessons. Yet, life carried on this way. Day after day, Daniel Walker had accumulated a decent amount of wealth. Meanwhile, the spirit beasts grew increasingly resistant to attending the spirit beast arena. They even started quarreling with their contract partners. Even the high-ranking spirit beasts were no exception. They no longer wanted to visit the spirit beast area and instead sought to change their resting place. In no time, the spirit beast hall became a chaotic mess, with countless spirit beasts gathering to demand a change of territory. The family rules are clear. I can't change it for you. Wasn't your old place fine? Why do you want to move? The spirit beasts exchanged silent glances for a moment before speaking in unison. It's because of Daniel Walker. Once they spoke, everyone began complaining. The cacophony of human and beast voices filled the hall, giving the spirit beast hall staff a splitting headache. Can you speak one at a time? Chapter 55. The Grand Elder is about to exit seclusion. All right. Let me. Daniel Walker claims to be the elder of Spirit Beast Hall, forcing us to submit spirit stones every time we attend class. He even distributes the amount based on strength. Now, we don't even have enough basic food to eat. Exactly, Daniel Walker often forces us to attack him just so he can humiliate us. Yes, he abuses his strength, making everyone exhaust themselves just to create a comfortable environment for him. Daniel Walker doesn't just bully the lower-level area, he even targets us in the mid-level area. He often calls one of our beasts over for so-called interaction, but in reality, it's just him bullying the weak. He even stole my pills. He stole my food too. And my silver. He took my silver as well. Everyone in the Spirit Beast Hall listened to the Spirit Beasts complaining one after another, looking at each other helplessly. Whose contracted Spirit Beast is Daniel Walker anyway? I think he belongs to Anna Reed, the one who wasn't affected by the 10,000 laws punishment. Everyone was speechless. How could they possibly deal with this? If even the 10,000 laws punishment couldn't do anything to him, what else could they try? Even 8th tier attacks were useless. Back then, he even claimed to be 9th tier. The only solution was to wait for the Grand Elder to come out of seclusion. But when the Grand Elder would emerge was still a mystery. So for now, no one had any way to handle him. Meanwhile, Daniel Walker, the one being accused by the spirit beasts, was lying in the small courtyard, basking in the sun, utterly relaxed. Ever since he started collecting spirit stones, his and Anna's standard of living had skyrocketed, making life incredibly comfortable. Anna Reed had also begun cultivating her mental techniques. Speaking of which, why hasn't the Peacock King come out yet? He had visited Peach Mountain once before, and saw that the Peacock King was still the same, with Kevin Reed watching over him. Kevin mentioned that the Peacock King was at a critical moment and might undergo a transformation, so they could only wait. Who knows how much longer we'll have to wait? Sigh. Daniel Walker rubbed his stomach, yawned, and reached for a fresh bamboo shoot to nibble on. Life with money was truly delightful. This guy's still eating. Elliot Reed exclaimed with a mix of frustration and amusement as he arrived and saw the scene. He received news that the Spirit Beast Hall was in chaos and intended to find Daniel Walker to cause trouble. Rushing over to check, he unexpectedly found Daniel leisurely lying there, eating, drinking, and sunbathing. 9th grandfather. Daniel Walker cheerfully waved at him. Do you want some bamboo shoots? They're delicious, all specially grown. I don't want any. My teeth aren't good. What have you been up to lately that so many spirit beasts at the Spirit Beast Hall are accusing you? Elliot Reed looked at him helplessly. I didn't do anything, just performed my duties as an elder. So what if they're accusing me? They can't do anything to me anyway. Daniel Walker said nonchalantly. Elliot Reed's expression turned slightly serious upon hearing this. He said, You mustn't think that way. That mindset of yours is wrong. Do you understand? The Grand Elder is about to leave seclusion. Can you afford to disregard even 8th and 9th level cultivators? Daniel Walker was about to say he could when Elliot Reed interrupted. You might be able to, but what about Anna? Can she? Daniel's expression grew more serious, and he sat upright. Only then did Elliot Reed nod in satisfaction and say, The Grand Elder is a 9th level cultivator. You lack offensive skills. Relying solely on stored spiritual energy, what can you achieve? Anna is only a 3rd level child. You can't transform into something bigger, and even if you shield her, you can't fully protect her. So how will you ensure her safety? Elliot Reed's words immediately shattered Daniel Walker's previous arrogance born from his invincibility. He seriously reconsidered and realized he truly had no solution. Moreover, he and Anna Reed shared a blood pact. If the Reed family were to go to any lengths to harm Anna Reed just to hurt him, he genuinely wouldn't be able to guarantee her safety. But he wanted to secure the best for Anna Reed. I know you're wholeheartedly thinking of Anna, but you mustn't be too one-sided in your thinking, nor should you become complacent. In short, it's better to act cautiously, Elliot Reed said with genuine affection for Daniel Walker. Though just a child, Daniel was loyal and righteous, with a bit of cleverness that other children lacked. However, he was, after all, still a child. The Grand Elder is about to leave seclusion. You'd better prepare carefully, and think of a way to ensure the Grand Elder doesn't target Anna. I'll be at the Literary Arts Hall. If you need anything, come find me. But for now, there's nothing I can do to help you. After seeing Elliot Reed off, Daniel Walker began to seriously reflect on his attitude. He realized he had indeed been a bit overconfident, feeling invincible, and thus paying little attention to other matters. But he had also forgotten that this was only because he hadn't done anything too extreme, and because they hadn't targeted Anna yet. It seems I really need to come up with a plan. Anna was only at the 3rd level, far too weak, and he couldn't directly help her level up. With this thought, he became a bit more restrained, surprising many spirit beasts, and making things at the Spirit Beast Hall much calmer. At least, they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. And the day of the Grand Elder's emergence from seclusion was drawing near. This time, the Great Elder's emergence from seclusion was of great importance. He had already reached the mid-stage of the 9th rank, and if he could successfully break through, he might attempt to challenge the Ascension Gate. At that point, the entire Reed family, from top to bottom, would likely have to follow the Great Elder's lead. Although crossing the Ascension Gate was a life-or-death endeavor, and even if one succeeded, returning was nearly impossible, it was still the Ascension Gate. Anyone who crossed it would ascend to the 2nd heaven, forever changing their destiny. Moreover, the status of those close to the Great Elder within the family would also transform. Who wouldn't dream of crossing the Ascension Gate? And who wouldn't want a reliable elder to care for them in the 2nd heaven? As such, the entire family was abuzz with the news of the Great Elder's emergence. Even Daniel Walker became more subdued, drawing no attention to himself. Time passed, and the atmosphere in the family grew increasingly lively. Many eagerly awaited the day the Great Elder would emerge from seclusion. Daniel Walker, too, was drawn by curiosity. On the day of the Great Elder's emergence, he dragged Anna Reed along to witness the excitement. Because of the large crowd, they didn't stand out much, though those who noticed them, and the beasts accompanying them couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. "When will the Great Elder come out?" someone muttered. They had arrived early in the morning, and it was already noon with no sign of activity. "Be patient and wait." Daniel Walker, growing bored, pulled Anna Reed away to grab some food before returning. "The Great Elder is out!" someone suddenly shouted excitedly. The tightly shut door finally opened. The Great Elder stepped out slowly, without any commotion or fluctuation of energy. This left those who had been eagerly anticipating a breakthrough to the late stage of the 9th rank feeling disappointed, and the crowd gradually fell silent. The Great Elder looked solemn. Could it be that he had truly failed? Many people thought so. Indeed, the Great Elder had failed. Seeing the crowd gathered around, he felt deeply uncomfortable. Chapter 56. Never forget to act. But who was he? He was the Great Elder, a man of immense pride. At this moment, he couldn't admit failure, couldn't speak up, and absolutely couldn't let anyone see through him. "I understand now." Suddenly, someone slapped their thigh with a loud smack. "Great Elder, isn't this the legendary state of returning to simplicity? There's no commotion because our levels aren't high enough to perceive it. In truth, The Great Elder has already broken through successfully. Great Elder, am I right? The Great Elder smiled approvingly, not because the person was correct, but because they reacted so quickly. The Great Elder himself had been wondering how to explain his situation. Unexpectedly, someone provided him with an excuse. Perfect. After all, he was the only 9th rank expert present. Who could possibly see through him? So that's how it is. No wonder I always felt that the Grand Elder seemed unfathomable. Every move of his seemed to embody the heavenly way. Turns out he has already reached the realm of returning to simplicity and truth. Someone flattered him, and soon others chimed in as well. The Grand Elder is truly formidable, worthy of being the #1 person in the Reed family. With this level of cultivation, our family can be considered the top clan in the first heaven. All of this is thanks to the Grand Elder. Grand Elder, you've already reached the highest realm. Are you about to cross the Ascension Gate? The smile on the Grand Elder's face stiffened slightly. Cross the Ascension Gate? You're nonsense. He hadn't even broken through yet. This matter, no need to rush. During my seclusion, did anything happen? The Grand Elder changed the subject. However, he pretended to be calm so well that no one noticed. There is. Samantha Reed immediately stepped forward, throwing herself into her grandfather's arms. Grandfather, a spirit beast bullied me and caused my contracted spirit beast to break its bond. Samantha Reed directly complained in front of everyone. Is that so? The Grand Elder checked and found that his granddaughter's contracted spirit beast was indeed no longer bound. His expression changed instantly. How did this happen? Tell me everything. As soon as he said this, many people looked around with gloating expressions, trying to find Anna Reed and Daniel Walker. To their surprise, the two were still present, which only made them more eager to watch the drama unfold. That Daniel Walker, he can nullify all attacks. Even 3rd Elder strikes are useless against him. He even claimed to be a 9th level spirit beast and demanded the position of Elder. He relies on his immunity to attacks to bully me and everyone else. Everyone's spirit beasts were bullied by him. He's nothing but a scourge. Moreover, he's Anna Reed's contracted spirit beast. Anna Reed, that wretched child. Her father was a traitor to the family, so she must have malicious intentions too, allowing her contracted spirit beast to wreak havoc in our family. They're clearly planning to harm the family. While Samantha Reed refrained from directly calling Anna Reed a wretched child, her every word was dripping with malice, pushing Anna Reed and Daniel Walker into direct opposition against the Reed family. The Grand Elder's expression subtly shifted. Are you saying he can nullify everyone's attacks? Yes. Right now, no one in the family can do anything to him. Grandfather, you must act and teach him a lesson. The Grand Elder didn't immediately agree and instead asked, Who is this Daniel Walker? Everyone immediately turned their gaze toward Daniel Walker, stepping aside to create a path so he could face the Grand Elder directly. The Grand Elder's eyes rested on Daniel Walker. Narrowing his gaze with an unreadable expression, he said, Are you the spirit beast capable of nullifying others' attacks? It's him. He's the one who bullied me. Samantha Reed raised her hand to point at him. Daniel Walker made a mocking face at her, causing Samantha Reed to flush red with anger. The Reed family of this generation truly is one filled with talents. The Grand Elder began slowly, his words seemingly unrelated to the current situation. My granddaughter has been intelligent and quick-witted since she was young. Not just her, but many other disciples of the family are outstanding as well. Perhaps one day in the future, all of them might surpass the Ascension Gate. Therefore, the companions by your side now may one day journey far with you, stepping together into a new world. Everyone must remember to love and support each other, understood? The Grand Elder earnestly advised. Everyone immediately straightened their expressions, nodding in unison and responding, "Understood. That being said, child, how could you do something like bullying your fellow disciples?" The Grand Elder, after a roundabout speech, finally returned to the main issue. Daniel Walker glanced over and said, "Did they tell you they bullied Anna first? I didn't even hold them accountable for bullying Anna, considering they're still young." Samantha Reed and the others instantly fell silent, their eyes sparkling uneasily. "Even so, you still..." "Never mind. Is your innate ability truly immunity to attacks?" The Grand Elder spoke at length, but it was clear that this was the matter he was most concerned about. Despite his kind and grandfatherly demeanor, it was impossible to discern his true thoughts. "That's right, so what?" Daniel Walker sneered. Although this old man was good at pretending, it was clear at first glance that he wasn't a good person. "Do you want to try taking one of my moves?" The Grand Elder said calmly, though deep inside, he was eagerly anticipating. If this boy could truly be immune to all attacks, wouldn't that mean the Elder could use the spirit beast to pass through the Ascension Gate? With his help to withstand the heavenly tribulation, what would there be to fear? "Fine. But you need to clarify first. Are you stepping in to defend your granddaughter?" Daniel Walker didn't show him any respect. "Of course not, but if you want to think that way, so be it. As long as you can withstand this move, I won't hold this matter against you. After all, it's just kids fighting. I won't interfere too much either." The Grand Elder's words left Samantha Reed staring at him in disbelief. How could her grandfather say such things? He wasn't siding with her. What about her grievances? "Grandfather, stop making a scene," the Grand Elder warned, shooting her a sharp look, an expression Samantha Reed had never seen before. She immediately froze, too frightened to speak or move. She had never seen her kind and gentle grandfather like this before. He seemed like a stranger, leaving her utterly bewildered. The Grand Elder didn't offer her a single word of comfort. Instead, he turned to look at Daniel Walker. For the Grand Elder, he had lived long enough. He sought a new life, a breakthrough. He wanted to become immortal. Years ago, to reach the 9th level, he had killed the second Elder. Naturally, he had planned it meticulously for over a decade so no one would ever know. But now, he had no way to break through the late stage of the 9th level, no strength to pass through the Ascension Gate. He was growing increasingly restless. If not for the sudden discovery of Daniel Walker, a being akin to a bug, perhaps he would have resigned himself to fate. But now, a new hope and possibility had appeared before him. How could he not seize it? At this moment, anyone who dared to stand in his way would become his mortal enemy. There would be no compromise. Even his most beloved granddaughter would have to step aside. Chapter 57, The Request. He desired the path to immortality. As long as he achieved immortality, what couldn't he have? The Grand Elder began to gather his strength, and those around him started to retreat, including Anna Reed. However, Anna Reed seemed a bit worried, though Daniel Walker comforted her with a few words. The Grand Elder wanted to test what kind of attack Daniel Walker could withstand, so naturally, he went all out. He didn't care whether others noticed that his strength hadn't advanced. He only cared about finding the answer. A 9th-tier attack was far more earth-shattering compared to an 8th-tier one. A violent storm began to rise around them. The winds enveloped Daniel Walker, turning the sky dark. A massive tornado formed from spiritual energy appeared, forcing everyone to retreat even further. The spiritual energy tornado was like sharp blades, cutting painfully into anyone nearby. Getting too close could result in being swept inside. Daniel Walker didn't resist, but was swept up into the air. He even seemed a bit thrilled as he shouted loudly, "Wow! Flying! Flying!" As he was spun around by the tornado, streams of spiritual energy surged into his body. The intense, boiling sensation quickly brought Daniel Walker into a meditative state. He had to seize this opportunity to break through. That was Daniel Walker's thought, but whether or not he succeeded would depend on fate. The Grand Elder continued gathering spiritual energy, while Daniel Walker appeared disheveled, being tossed around by the wind. However, those with sharp eyes could see that he wasn't hurt at all. He even seemed to be playing. This reassured the Grand Elder considerably. It seemed Daniel Walker could indeed withstand a 9th-tier attack, so there shouldn't be any issues. He believed that Daniel Walker might even endure the heavenly tribulation. But the final outcome still needed to be observed. Not only was the Grand Elder curious about Daniel Walker's final condition, but everyone else also wanted to know whether he'd end up injured or remain completely unfazed. At some point, the wind began to die down. The surrounding temperature seemed to warm up noticeably. The tornado gradually dissipated, and the chaotic spiritual energy in the air slowly calmed. A round figure fell from the sky, creating a crater in the ground. But that round figure quickly stood up, brushed off the dirt, shook itself off, and appeared completely unharmed. Daniel Walker's face showed a hint of regret. What a pity! If only the Grand Elder had been a bit stronger, perhaps he would have broken through. But for now, he was stuck. The crucial point for his breakthrough remained just out of reach. His entire body felt unbearably uncomfortable, as if only rubbing against something could alleviate the unease. His heartbeat quickened slightly, though it was merely an illusion. In truth, he was simply feeling extremely uneasy. A glint of joy flashed in the Great Elder's eyes, though his face remained composed as he discreetly consumed a medicinal pill, ensuring no one noticed. Very good. Even though I only used the mid-stage power of level 9, you remain unharmed. It seems your talent is truly exceptional. Do you know where your limits lie? The Great Elder asked. The surrounding crowd immediately directed their gazes toward the Great Elder, who stood there with an aura of wisdom and authority. Their expressions were a mix of admiration and astonishment. None had expected that he hadn't even used his full strength, yet moments ago, nearly everyone had felt as though they were suffocating. I don't know, Daniel Walker replied, twisting his neck uncomfortably. His tone carried a hint of irritation, still lingering with regret from earlier. Samantha Reed, still shaken by the scene of the heavens and earth seemingly shifting moments ago, felt indignant at his response. How can you speak to my grandfather like that? Can't you say something more respectful? You sound as if someone owes you a debt. Samantha! The Great Elder immediately reprimanded her with a stern voice. Startled, Samantha Reed turned to look at her grandfather, her eyes filled with confusion and innocence. However, when she met his gaze, she recalled his expression from earlier. Her heart turned cold. Wasn't her grandfather the one who loved her the most? Why was he looking at her with such an expression? It was as if he wanted to kill her. How terrifying. After all, it's a level 9 spirit beast. How could you be so careless? The Great Elder ignored Samantha Reed's current thoughts, his focus solely on his own plans. At this moment, a single thought occupied his mind. He wanted this young spirit beast to help him overcome his heavenly tribulation. He wanted to ascend to the second heaven realm. He wanted to live. No one was allowed to stand in his way. Tears began streaming down Samantha Reed's face like rain as she sobbed uncontrollably, mainly out of fear. Yet this time, the Great Elder did not comfort her as he usually would. Instead, his tone was stern and reprimanding. All you do is cry. Do you have any idea how important a contract companion is? And you lost it? Don't blame others if there wasn't. Something wrong with you? Would your contract companion have abandoned you? At this point, Samantha Reed dared not continue crying. She could only let out soft, choked sobs, her eyes filled with terror and confusion. There was also a sense of bewilderment. Why was she being scolded? This wasn't right. It shouldn't be like this. Grandfather. Do not call me grandfather. Go reflect on yourself immediately. I've been too indulgent with you all these years, and you've truly become insufferable. The surrounding onlookers fell silent. No one could have imagined that Samantha Reed, the most favored by the Grand Elder, would be reprimanded so harshly in front of everyone. Moreover, the Grand Elder's words seemed to carry a clear intent to protect Daniel Walker. The crowd's gaze toward Daniel Walker instantly shifted. All right, child, your name is Daniel Walker, correct? The Grand Elder looked at Daniel Walker, his face softening into a kind smile. Bring your contracted companion as well. Come inside and spend some time with me. The rest of you should disperse. Don't gather here idly. Use this time to cultivate. The Grand Elder's words once again triggered various reactions, but regardless, everyone now understood one thing clearly. Daniel Walker was likely about to rise in status. Daniel Walker gently patted the uneasy Anna Reed and said, It's fine. It's just a conversation. Let's go. This old man's demeanor clearly indicated ulterior motives. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone so far as to punish his own granddaughter directly. Thus, Daniel wasn't afraid. Anna Reed nodded and cautiously followed the Grand Elder. After all, the Grand Elder was still the strongest person in the family. Inside the room, the Grand Elder presented them with a plate of top-tier spirit fruits. Have you eaten yet? Looking at the plate of spirit fruits, Anna Reed suddenly recalled a similar situation with the third elder last time. In the end, it turned out to be nothing more than a distraction, with 2 plates of fruits serving as a superficial benefit. So this time, she didn't eat, and neither did Daniel Walker. Grand Elder, your hospitality overwhelms me. I dare not accept it. If you have something to say, please speak plainly, Daniel Walker said. The Grand Elder's smile remained unchanged. He lifted a teacup, took a slow sip, let out a sigh, and said, As one grows old, one finds joy in spending time with the younger generation. It makes me feel young again. Daniel Walker and Anna Reed remained silent, not responding to him. The Grand Elder didn't seem embarrassed and continued, I am getting on in years. Although I've broken through to the 9th rank, if I want to take another step forward and extend my lifespan, I must go to the Heavenly Medicine sect. And so? Daniel Walker had a rough idea of his intentions. Your innate talent allows you to nullify damage, so I want to ask for your help in withstanding the heavenly tribulation. As long as I can pass through the Ascension Gate, I will give you anything you desire. The Grand Elder didn't bother hiding the yearning in his heart. Chapter 58. My request. Daniel Walker, upon hearing this, fell into deep thought. A heavenly tribulation. He wasn't sure if he could withstand it. After all, it was a heavenly tribulation, certainly not something ordinary. Great Elder, it's not that I don't want to help, but I simply can't. I'm just a spirit beast with high defense, nothing more. Ultimately, the Heavenly Medicine sect must face this on its own. Daniel Walker stated, But in all my years, I've only ever seen you as a spirit beast with such formidable defense. If even you can't do it, then who possibly could? The Great Elder remained unconvinced. How about this? If you agree, I can grant you the position of Elder. Isn't that what you've always wanted? The Great Elder still clung to Samantha Reed's earlier words. I'm already an Elder. I don't need you to give me that title. Besides, if I wanted it, there's nothing you could do to stop me, is there? Daniel Walker's words left the Great Elder momentarily speechless. Then, is there nothing you desire? The Great Elder asked. Daniel Walker pondered for a moment before suddenly glancing at Anna, who stood beside him. It's not that I don't have any desires. My contract partner, her status within the family, I'm sure I don't need to elaborate on that. Do you think her outfit today is beautiful? Do you know that before, she never had the chance to wear a decent piece of clothing? She never had a single new outfit, and always had to wear hand-me-downs from others, barely making do. She's at an age where she's still growing, yet she didn't even have proper clothes to wear. The great elder's expression turned slightly awkward. Truthfully, he had never paid much attention to the affairs of the younger generation. Furthermore, do you know what kind of life Anna led before meeting me? Do you know how many people in the family bullied her? Even your precious granddaughter. If you want to know what they did, just go ask them yourself. Daniel Walker had initially intended to demand some benefits for Anna Reed, but the more he spoke, the angrier he became. Thinking of how Anna had been forced to hide in the small cave on Peach Mountain, his fury only grew. And another thing. Do you know Anna often went hungry? Your granddaughter enjoyed lavish feasts, spiritual fruits, and delicacies in abundance, while Anna struggled just to have a proper meal. Standing beside him, Anna Reed bit her lip gently, her eyes welling with tears. Over the years, she had always put on a brave front, but hearing these words still broke her heart. The great elder wanted to say that everyone's fate was different, and that his granddaughter naturally deserved the best. However, given that he needed help at this moment, he wisely refrained from voicing such thoughts. And I'm not done yet. Go take a look at where Anna lives. She doesn't even have access to basic cultivation resources. You claim your granddaughter is exceptionally talented, but without resources, could she even match Anna's strength? And Anna is stuck in a desolate corner of the family with barely any spiritual energy. So my request is simple. Handle it as you see fit. As long as I'm satisfied, I'll agree to accompany you to the Heavenly Medicine sect. I guarantee I'll shield you. Daniel Walker's words made the great elder's eyes light up. He immediately slammed the table and declared, "No problem. Rest assured, I will declare it immediately. From this moment onward, Anna Reed is officially my adopted granddaughter. Anyone who dares to bully her is directly opposing me. All family resources will first be available for Anna Reed to choose from. Only the leftovers will go to others. From now on, she will be the second most important person in the Reed family, right after me." The great elder, determined to please Daniel Walker, disregarded everything else. After all, he was about to ascend to the second heavenly realm, and the matters here were merely fleeting concerns to him. Even my biological granddaughter must step aside when encountering Anna Reed. No one in the family is allowed to show her any disrespect. Well, what do you think? Is this satisfactory? Anna Reed was so astonished that she couldn't find the words to respond. She looked at Daniel Walker, somewhat flustered, and Daniel Walker extended his claw to hold her hand. "This is what you deserve. They owe you this." Daniel Walker stated firmly, "Please make this announcement. Moreover, I'd like to stay here for a while to observe how everyone behaves before deciding whether to leave with you for the Heavenly Medicine sect." Daniel Walker said, looking at the great elder. "No problem." The great elder replied enthusiastically. As he spoke, he prepared to step outside to make the declaration. At that very moment, the long-secluded family patriarch emerged from his retreat. A flicker of surprise crossed the great elder's face, but upon sensing that his son had not achieved a breakthrough, he dismissed the matter. He had no desire for another ninth-level individual to appear, as he intended to use a nearly fraudulent method to pass through the Ascension Gate. The fewer people who knew about this, the better. The fact that his son hadn't advanced was actually a relief. The patriarch's emergence from seclusion didn't cause much of a stir, but Randy Reed, who had been keeping watch nearby, immediately rushed forward in excitement upon seeing his father. "Father, how did it go?" Dan Reed shook his head. He was still stuck at the late 8th level, unable to break through, and he saw no hope of doing so. It seemed he simply lacked the talent. "How have things been in the family lately?" "Everything's been fine, but there's one matter." Randy Reed recounted the events involving Daniel Walker, including the injuries sustained by both his and his father's contract beasts. Dan Reed's anger flared instantly. He stormed off, intent on confronting the Great Elder and Daniel Walker. At that moment, he saw the Grand Elder leading Anna Reed, who was holding Daniel Walker, walking toward them. Dan Reed hurriedly quickened his pace. "Father, I heard you've had a breakthrough," Dan Reed asked, a hint of eagerness in his voice. If his father had truly made a breakthrough, would he teach him something that could help him achieve the same? "Yes, but let's not discuss that now. How have you been lately?" the Grand Elder asked casually. "Your son is truly foolish, unable to break through no matter how hard I try. I still haven't found a path." Dan Reed shook his head and sighed. "Father, back in the day, you managed to find the path. I deeply admire you for that. Please guide me." Facing Dan Reed's earnest plea, the Grand Elder was left speechless. What could he possibly say? Should he reveal the truth? That he hadn't truly achieved a breakthrough, but instead had stolen someone else's fortune? That he had killed the second elder and seized his spiritual energy to succeed? There was no way he could confess to that. "This matter, I cannot give you an answer. The great path is vast, with 3,000 ways. Each person must walk their own path. Though we are father and son, our paths are ultimately different. I cannot help you," the Grand Elder replied. Although Dan Reed had anticipated such words, he couldn't help but feel a tinge of disappointment. He chose not to dwell on it further, and turned to look at Daniel Walker and Anna Reed. Frowning, he said, "Father, this spirit beast has blatantly disrupted the peace of our clan. I believe it must be dealt with. Even if it can evade attacks, its contracted companion surely cannot." Anna Reed's face turned pale upon hearing this. Daniel Walker let out a faint chuckle and said, "Grand Elder, it seems I won't be of much help to you after all." The Grand Elder's expression darkened as he glared at his son. "Stop spouting nonsense. This is a 9th level spirit beast, and also an elder among all spirit beasts. Moreover, I have just taken Anna as my adopted granddaughter, and was about to announce it to the clan. From now on, you are forbidden from causing harm to Anna. Furthermore, make sure to discipline your son properly. He is not to bully Anna." Chapter 59. From now on, she is my granddaughter. The words of the Great Elder left Dan Reed and Randy Reed stunned. They raised their heads to look at him, mouse agape, unsure of how to react. By the time they regained their composure, the man had already walked far away. This news was quickly disseminated throughout the family. Naturally, to please Daniel Walker, the Great Elder decided to convene a family assembly, calling everyone together. At the training grounds, the members of the family had already gathered, buzzing with speculation about the purpose of the meeting called by the Great Elder. "What do you think? Could it be that the Great Elder is about to join the Heavenly Medicine sect, and that's why he called this meeting?" "Very possible. Our Reed family finally has someone in the Heavenly Medicine sect. No more being ridiculed during training trips outside." "Exactly. This is truly something to be proud of." As the chatter continued, the Great Elder leisurely arrived, accompanied by Anna Reed and Daniel Walker. Ahem, silence. The crowd immediately quieted, all eyes turning to the figure seated at the highest position, their gazes filled with respect. "Today, I have summoned everyone here to announce something." The crowd grew visibly excited. "It's happening! It's happening!" Is he about to announce something about the Heavenly Medicine sect? "From this moment onward, Anna Reed is officially my granddaughter. No one in the family, regardless of their status, is allowed to show her any disrespect." "Wonderful!" A few who were quick to flatter immediately cheered. However, after cheering, they realized, "Wait, something's not right. What did the Great Elder just say?" The crowd looked up in shock, glancing at the great elder, then at the young girl holding a round bundle in her arms. From today onward, all resources within the family must first be chosen by Anna Reed. Only the leftovers will be distributed to others. You must be joking, someone couldn't help but exclaim. Anna Reed, what kind of identity does she hold to be treated this way? Do I need you to tell me whether I'm joking or not? The Grand Elder glanced at the person who had just spoken, causing their face to turn pale as they hurriedly lowered their head. Furthermore, anyone who has ever bullied Anna should step forward voluntarily. Don't make me send people to investigate. This was an idea the Grand Elder had just thought of. He felt that doing so would serve as a way to vent his anger on behalf of Anna Reed, ensuring Daniel Walker would be more satisfied. Sure enough, Daniel Walker nodded, looking at him with an approving gaze. The Grand Elder immediately beamed with joy. He didn't find his action strange or abrupt in the slightest. The third and fourth elders standing beside him were already utterly shocked. The way the Grand Elder treated Daniel Walker was as if Daniel Walker were superior, and the Grand Elder was trying to curry favor with him. The fourth elder, who had already regretted allowing Daniel Walker to cause chaos for the past 2 days, making the Reed family restless, now felt even more remorseful upon witnessing this scene. He could only close his eyes and pretend not to see. Had he known this earlier, he should have negotiated a better deal in the first place. The crowd below the stage couldn't help but buzz with discussions. Even though they knew the Grand Elder could hear them, their curiosity compelled them to talk. The Grand Elder, however, chose to ignore everyone's gazes. Having been an elder for so many years, if there was one thing he excelled at, it was pretending. Have you all finished your discussions? If so, come up one by one to apologize. And I want to see sincerity from you all. This time, many people felt bitterness in their mouths. Did they really have to apologize for this? Quite a few of them had, to some extent, bullied Anna Reed in the past, not intentionally, but simply because it was convenient at the time. This only went to show how low Anna Reed's status had been before. Eventually, a steward stepped forward. He was from the Spirit Beast Hall. I apologize, Miss Anna. I shouldn't have treated you that way before. I was blind. Please, be magnanimous and forgive me. I promise I'll never speak to you in such a tone again. Anna Reed pressed her lips together before speaking. It's not just about not using that tone with me. It's about not using it with anyone, regardless of their status. Yes. You're absolutely right. I'll definitely change. He truly realized his mistake. After all, with Anna Reed's sudden shift in status as a precedent, he wouldn't dare to look down on anyone again. Who knows if the next person might turn out to be a high-ranking noble. Once there was a first, a second was bound to follow. Sorry, Miss Anna. There was a day I intentionally bumped into you and spilled your food. Anna Reed didn't even remember this incident. Or rather, such trivial matters were so common to her